News of the day. They just announced that, or you just announced, after this mini revolt, that the pistol brace is going to come to the floor?
That's correct, Steve. It's coming to the floor on Tuesday, and I'm very happy to announce that. I'm very thankful for the pressure that was put on Republican leadership because they needed to feel it.
Why is that? When you came on in your very humble way, our audience, it exploded. It was a firestorm. People, and even people who are not maybe into the Second Amendment as others, they said, you're bartering away people's constitutional rights over a man who sat there and said, hey, I don't believe this bill should come forward as it should. I'm going to vote against the rule. And they really went after the American citizen, and particularly look at the penalties here. 10 years in a federal prison, take your gun rights away forever, and a substantial fine. I've never seen our audience get up and really just furious as they called the House and the local offices.
Well, it just goes to show you, as we all believed or should believe, our God-given natural rights, our constitutional rights, our Second Amendment rights are not a bargaining chip. They're not something to be, dealt with in a manner that would, quid pro quo, or we're going to penalize you in such a way as this. That's unacceptable to the American people, and you're absolutely right. It created a firestorm. It should have created a firestorm.
Colonel Self, you voted against the debt ceiling fiasco. Last night, Lawrence O'Donnell did an entire hour of a show on MSNBC with their negotiators. It was humiliating to have to sit there and watch it. What a terrible job leadership did on this bill. I mean, the bill is just it's a tissue of lies what were presented. What do the folks in your constituents think about giving Biden, the Biden regime, $16 trillion to spend, but $4 trillion minimum of new debt?
Well, they don't like it. My calls were 70-30 or more for my vote, for my no vote, and I was a double no. I voted against the rule, and I voted against the bill. Because giving the Biden administration $4 trillion estimate, actually it's unlimited, but we'll call it $4 trillion over 19 months, is well over nobody understands $1 trillion, but that's $210 billion every month. Which is incredible. Right. That's what we need to focus on, because that they will try to indebt us for another $4 trillion over the next 19 months.
Do you believe in voting against the rule? Let's leave aside the vote. Do you believe you made permanent enemies with leadership?
No, I think we're making allies, because if you remember back, there were 20 votes on the speaker. Then we went to...
No. I know you're building your base. I mean, now you're building, 73. Do you think, though, because the rule vote was tantamount to another speaker's vote, right? It was tantamount to another speaker's vote. Do you believe in voting against the rule and the bill itself that you've made a permanent enemy of people that you wouldn't want to have as enemies?
No, there are no permanent enemies in politics. Courage is contagious. Courage is contagious, and I've seen it, and we need to continue to build that base.
Is that what you're saying, because you started with 6 into 20, and now you've got 29 or 30
71
and 71
against the bill.
Yeah, and the other two that weren't there said they were, so 73.
And frankly, we've got a whole lot of citizens behind us, because the firestorm that Andrew set off was, he just added another log to the fire of the firestorm that was going on over the debt bill. People are getting, representatives are getting blown up in their districts over the debt ceiling bill. So this is building. And it's building in the grassroots, out in the hustings.
202-225-3121. Right now, they had a mini revolt on the floor today. Make sure you've got the back of these patriots. Also, Grace and Captain Bannon have the local offices too, so you can put a call in there. But this is what does it when people hear from the grassroots, when they hear from the activists. Texas is such a key state. Are the folks in Texas down in your district and other places furious about this debt ceiling bill?
Many of them are, absolutely, because we did a great job messaging, I think, and so our people understand that the bill was not as advertised. The headline sounded very good, but once we drilled down into the details, and the devil's always in the details, once we knew the details, the people understood that this was not.
Do you think you were misled
bill.
by leadership on about the EOs? It turns out the OMB can change it. Now we know from the permitting that it turns out the permitting was basically nothing. We know that because they made a mistake in the negotiation that were actually adding 72,000 a month, and they didn't realize that. All the aspects, as terrible as it is on the top line numbers and the duration, but when we look at all the details, we got play. I mean, because on Lawrence O'Donnell, they're sitting there laughing at you. I mean, it's quite humiliating to see their negotiators just gloat about what they demanded and what they had to have and how amateurish our side was. Is that ever going to set right with people?
I'm not going to sit here and characterize our leadership. I will say that the bill was not as advertised, and I'll leave it at that. And the more people that know that, the more grassroots input to all of us on bills such as the pistol brace bill will make a difference to change Washington.
202-225-3121. Make sure you make your calls right now. Let folks know what you think. Give them an attaboy for people that stood up, and maybe the old what for people who didn't. Why is this bill taking till next Tuesday? You know, we just had Gates and Boebert in here and others that have already contacted me and said, hey, no more business until the pistol brace, because symbolically we got to show people. Why is it going to take till next Tuesday?
Well, from what I understand, the way that rules works, there's a notification requirement before something comes before rules, and so they're holding to that notification requirement. I think it's like 48 hours and then 24 hours if you're going to bring any sort of documentation there. So potentially 72 hours. So that would be why I would think that Tuesday, as of right now, might be the closest
they could do it.
The closest they can actually do it. But I'm very concerned that the Senate may still go first.
Well, I thought we ruled that out. I thought if the Senate goes first, they're going to kill it, right?
Absolutely. They absolutely
let
correct.
that happen.
No, we cannot let that happen, and that is something that
So what do
is
we
very
need?
dangerous.
What do we need to do to stop that?
I think that the folks need to call their senators and say, we need the House to go first on this. That's it. Because in the House, we can pass this in a bipartisan way, because I'm confident that we'll have at least a Democrat, maybe three.
202-224-3121 is the Senate side. Right now, light them up. Tell them the House bill has to go first.
That's right.
Colonel Self, for the conference to come together and work as one, what would be your recommendation? It's obviously a lot of hard feelings, a lot of distrust. What would you recommend to bring the conference together?
We've got to get back to the tools that we gave the speaker and the conference back in January. We've got to understand that we have a narrow majority, but we saw on the Limit, Save, Grow Act that if we act as a conference, we can pass a strong bill. And I want us to get back to a Republican conference with strong tools that we gave the conference as a whole, certainly the speaker. I want us to get back to that, because with that, with those rules, with a united conference, we can do great things and we can change Washington.
Is the conference coming together this week? Are you guys as a whole going to get together and talk this through?
We got together this morning.
Okay. That went well. Then you had the revolt this afternoon. You think you guys will get together later?
It is a fluid situation, Steve, and I'll leave it at that.
Colonel, you're good. I know you guys got to bounce. West Point grad, what year?
1975.
1975, Green Beret. Thank you very much on this commemoration. In fact, want to have you back in, both of you, because we're going to do the entire Battle of Normandy. You know, D-Day always gets the highlight, but this is one of the toughest battles, if not the toughest long battle in American history. So for the next 2 months, every couple of days, we're going to be giving highlights of what was happening.
Wonderful.
So we always love to have our Army brethren here.
That's right.
Commander, great job.
Thank you.
And everybody's got your back.
Thank you.
This audience is on point right now, and they understand this fight. And I think everybody agrees with you. If we get back to the deal and the tools, let's put it back together and see if we can't go forward. If not, it's going to be a throwdown.
That's right.
Because I think a lot of people are going to say we can't let this happen again.
Right.
Guys, thank you very much for coming in here.
Thank you
Thanks,
for having
Steve.
me. Thank you.
Social media, how do people get to you?
Rep Keith Self.
Okay, Rep Keith South.
And Rep Clyde.
Okay, fantastic. Guys, thank you very much for coming in.